did he say? I think he said meathead.
10 1980s teen comedies that you forgot about. Sure, we all remember Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Breakfast Club, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Those are classics that are carved into pop culture history. But what about the comedies that fell through the cracks? The movies that didn't become iconic but still deserve their moment in the spotlight. Today, we're diving into the forgotten, underrated teen comedies of the 80s, the hidden gems that time seemed to forget.
Why don't we forget this whole thing and pretend this never happened, okay?
First up, we've got 3 O'Clock High, a quirky comedy with a unique twist. It's about Jerry Mitchell, your average high schooler who accidentally ticks off the school's new bully, Buddy Revell, who I always thought looked like a cross between Arnold Schwarzenegger and the INXS singer Michael Hutchins. Anyway, Buddy declares that they'll fight after school at exactly 3 o'clock. What follows is a hilarious day of Jerry trying every ridiculous scheme to avoid the showdown. Think High Noon, but in high school. And then the ending showdown and aftermath does not disappoint. This one deserved more attention than it got. Next is One Crazy Summer, starring John Cusack as an aspiring cartoonist who spends his summer on Nantucket. This one came out before Better Off Dead. Well, his vacation takes a turn when he gets caught up in a zany mission to help a girl, played by Demi Moore, save her grandfather's home from being taken over by greedy developers. Think the Goonies without the treasure maps and middle schoolers. Packed with wild characters, wild antics, and even some animated sequences, this one delivers laughs and charm. Now we have Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Sarah Jessica Parker, who I had a huge crush on in this movie, plays Janie, a teenager with dreams of becoming a pro dancer. Along with her rebellious best friend, played by Helen Hunt, she sneaks out to audition for a spot on her favorite dance show. It's full of 80s fashion, catchy music, and feel-good energy. Plus, it's got Shannon Doherty in one of her earliest movie roles. An all-around fun, nostalgic trip.
That sure is a great trip.
Here's one that's kind of way out there, Meatballs Part II. Now, the original's a classic with Bill Murray. This bizarre sequel takes things in a completely different direction. It's a summer camp comedy, sure, but this time it involves a group of misfit campers, a boxing match, and a space alien named Meathead. It's absolutely ridiculous and not for everyone, but if you're in the mood for something weird and funny, it's worth checking out. I actually liked it. At least I did back in the 80s. Next, ever wondered what happens when a stockbroker hides out in high school? Well, that's the premise of Hiding Out, where John Cryer plays an adult on the run from the mob, pretending to be a teenager. The mix of comedy, action, and Cryer's charming performance makes this an underrated gem worth revisiting. Next is The Last American Version. Feels like a raunchy comedy on the surface, but it has a surprising amount of heart. It tells the tale of 3 teenage dudes navigating love, heartbreak, and growing up. And the ending is a bittersweet, making it stand out from other teen comedies of the era. Next, we have a gender-bending comedy with something to say. Just One of the Guys. It follows Terry, a teenage journalist who poses as a guy to prove her talent. The mix of comedy, awkward moments, and a progressive take on women's rights makes this one worth rewatching. Zapped. It's the definition of 80s absurdity. A nerdy science whiz gains telekinetic powers after a lab accident and uses them for, well, teenage mischief. Scott Baio stars in this over-the-top and unapologetically goofy comedy. Sure, it's cheesy, but that's part of the charm. And it's got his pal Buddy, a.k.a. Willie Ames, from Charles in Charge.
All right, let's rock. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Number 9, long before Keanu Reeves became Neo and was driving buses around, he starred in the wild teen comedy The Night Before. The movie follows Winston, a nerdy high schooler who loses his date and his memory during prom night. The next morning, he finds himself in the middle of a sketchy part of town with no idea how he got there. Dude, where's his car? It's really funny as Winston retraces his steps and tries to save his date, played by Lori Loughlin. Keanu's comedic timing is spot on in this hidden gem. Finally, we have Lucas. Title character played by Corey Haim is a lonely high school genius who falls in love with the new girl in town, Maggie, played by Carrie Green, fresh off the Goonies. Winona Ryder and Carlos Estevez also star. Now, you could argue this 1986 coming-of-age film is more drama than comedy, but all the best teen films are spliced with a bit of that drama. After all, what is high school without the drama? So there you have it. 10 forgotten teen comedies from the 80s that deserve another chance. Whether it's quirky romance, surreal humor, or offbeat hijinks, these movies have something for everyone. Which ones are you excited to check out? Which ones did you watch and didn't like? Did I miss some of your favorites? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to follow for more retro movie deep dives. Until next time, stay rad.